You think this story is about free groceries? It's not. It's about the single most powerful currency in human civilization: dignity. When this parent walked into that food bank expecting the bare minimum and received abundance instead, a specific psychological switch was flipped. We are going to analyze why survival food often keeps people trapped, while radical generosity, the kind that includes fresh vegetables and snacks, is actually the most efficient economic stimulus ever invented. Sociologists and behavioral economists call this the distinction between transactional charity and relational solidarity. Transactional charity keeps score. It minimizes risk and gives you just enough to not die, often reinforcing a psychological hierarchy where the receiver feels small and ashamed. This shame creates cognitive tunneling, where the stress of scarcity lowers a person's effective IQ and ability to plan for the future. The volunteer in this story hacked that system by providing luxury items like fresh eggs and kids' snacks. She signaled that the recipient wasn't a problem to be managed, but a human to be nurtured. This shatters the shame paralysis. Let's look at 1969. The U.S. government was providing very limited food assistance, often humiliating to access. The Black Panther Party realized that hungry children couldn't learn, but more importantly, that state indifference taught those kids they didn't matter. They launched the Free Breakfast for Children program. It wasn't minimal gruel. It was grits, toast, eggs, and bacon, served with respect. They fed 20,000 children a week. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover called this program the greatest threat to internal security. Why? Because when you feed people with dignity rather than just calories, you don't just fill stomachs. You create a loyal, empowered community that believes in its own future. That volunteer was channeling this exact legacy. Go back further to the 16th century Punjab region and the institution of Nani Langar, established by Guru Nanak. In a time of rigid caste systems where eating together was taboo, he created a free community kitchen where everyone sat on the floor together, kings next to paupers. The rule was radical. No questions asked, no means testing. And the food was always fresh, high-quality lacto-vegetarian meals. For 500 years, this has proven that if you remove the shame of hunger and replace it with the honor of a shared, abundant meal, you stabilize entire populations against social fracturing. It turns the act of receiving help from a moment of weakness into a moment of communion. Here is the warning for our modern, efficiency-obsessed world. We are currently addicted to means testing. We spend millions on bureaucracy to make sure a poor person doesn't get $1 extra or one extra apple they didn't earn. This mindset creates a tooless scarcity trauma that actually keeps people unemployed longer because they are too depressed to function. When that volunteer gave this user fresh vegetables, she wasn't wasting resources. She was investing in this person's mental health. If we treat aid as a humiliating gauntlet, we create a permanent underclass. The volunteer understood that the goal isn't just keeping bodies alive, it's keeping hope alive. The volunteer said, "Nobody's keeping score. That is the only way this works." The user in this story got a job and is now planning to volunteer. That is the return on investment of dignity. Next time you have the chance to help, ask yourself, am I giving them enough to survive? Or am I giving them enough to feel human? Because the difference between the two is often the difference between giving up and getting back on your feet.